The Japanese economic miracle refers to a period from post-World War II to the end of the Cold War, where Japan's economy still recorded positive growth. The period was around 1945 to 1991. After World War II, Japan's economy continued growing partly due to measures laid down by the government, and also due to financial aid from the US. The US decided to set up camp in Japan after World War II as an ally, and it included military personnel and civilians to try and slow down the Soviet Union's influence in the Pacific. During the economic miracle period, suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, and banks decided to work in together forming groups called Kyoto. The economic miracle took part in four stages: the recovery phase, high increase, steady increase, and the low increase phase. The recovery phase was from 1946 to 1954. After the World War II, most of Japan's industries has been brought to their knees because of the war. Most countries were suffering after war effects when the war came to an end, with some countries like Japan experiencing a significant drop in the industrial output. The swift recovery of Japan's industries led to the name economic miracle. The recovery phase focused on rebuilding the industries, with the great focus being on the cotton, steel, and coal industries. The high increase phase ran from 1954 to 1972, as from 1967 to 1971. Japan's economy experienced the most significant growth recorded in the country. The government debt in Japan has grown since 1990. In 2006, it was over 800 trillion yen, 6.2 trillion euros, which is 1.6 times the GDP. Japan rose to one of the most developed countries in the East Asia. The Japanese education system also played part in the economic growth by producing highly skilled workers. Japan was one of the most countries with high level of literacy and is still to date. The steady increase phase ran from 1973 to 1992. The decline in capital formation, slower accumulation of ICT, information and communication technology assets. Japan's ICT investments stood at about 20 trillion yen, 154 billion euros, accounting for 70% of the total investments. However, Japan's ICT investments GDP ratio fell behind those of Korea, the UK, and the US after 1995. In particular, the contribution of ICT assets to economic growth is low in the Japan service sector. There was an oil crisis in 1973 and 1979, which saw the prices of oil triple in both instances. The crisis was caused by economic sanctions set by the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries, and countries that seemed to be supporting Israel during 1973 Arab-Israel War. Though the sanctions shook the economics of other countries, Japan's economy continued to grow. The low increase phase started around 1992, when the economic bubble phase faded, leading to a recession. Japan had the economic phase known as the economic bubble during 1980s. The overlending of Japanese banks to industries led to the inflation of the Tokyo stock market. The inflation was followed by a deflation period, which affected the economy negatively. Now let's talk about the biggest contributor to the economic miracle. The 1960s period saw the largest growth ever in Japan's economy. The Ministry of International Trade and Industry, formed in 1949, played a significant role in the economic recovery of the country. The ministry created a synergy between the government and the private sector to improve the productivity of industries, thus leading to the economic gains. The ministry was granted control over technology imports and later on control over all Japan's imports. The importation of new affordable technology also boosted the industrial sector. The ministry is credited with the most of economic interventions that lead to the rapid growth of Japan's economy during the economic miracle period.